My name is George Bina. I'm from Syncrosoft, the company that develops Oxyeng Xml Editor. And I'm here with my colleague Octavian that helped me put together this demonstration. I will show you some of the important features that we added in Oxygen in the last versions. And I will be using a developer snapshot for the demonstration because I want to show you also some of the features that are work in progress and will be available in 1 month in version 10.2. The demonstration will show the XML authoring part and the XML development, and in the end I will also mention some ideas that we have for the future. And let's start with the XML authoring part. Oxygen includes a visual CSS-based editor that allows content authors to edit XML documents in an interface similar with the word processor. And what we tried to do with visual authoring was to use very simple principles for editing. And in Oxygen, there are just 2 things that you need to know to edit visually. First, you need to locate a position where you want what content or markup, and then you either type to insert content or press enter to insert markup. And I will show you that immediately with a practical example. We use, for our website, we have an XML document, this one here, and we convert this through XSLT to get the Oxygen website. And as a side note, you can see here that this uses XML schema, schematron schema, embedded rules from the XML schema, and entities. Mentions also the DD for entities. And you can see also the CSS style sheet that is associated with the document. And when I switch to the author mode, I can see the document rendered through that style sheet. And this is how it looks like. And I will show you immediately how editing works. So there are just two basic steps that you need to know. If I want to enter content, I just go to that position and I just type in the content. And if I want to enter markup, I just press enter, and I get a proposal with what markup, what elements can I enter in that location. So if I enter an inline element that is already rendered, and I can type in markup. And now the problem is how to locate the right position. And Oxygen provides mainly 3 ways to allow you to know where you are in the document. And what I use all the time is that when you pass through a boundary, you can see location tooltip that shows you where you are. You are between a title and a paragraph here, right? You are at the beginning of the paragraph. And if I press enter here, I can enter a new paragraph here. Sorry. And basically, that's all you need to know to be able to edit visually the XML documents. Apart from that, for instance, if we have, we offer also, if we have some inline content, and if I select something here, if I press enter, I get again the proposals. And if I select an element, then that will surround that location. And if I press enter here, the first proposal is to split the paragraph. And if I press enter again, I can see that it is Oxygen creates a new paragraph, and the split is performed deeply. You can see that there's also the strong and strike elements are present in the new paragraph. There are a number of views for the visual mode. One, for instance, I can put on the tags, and this allows to easily move content. For instance, if I want to move one paragraph in front of the other, or with drag and drop actions. Now, one problem that we had when editing the website is that we have many people that edit the website content, and each one has different formatting options. And a small change made in the document resulted in a large number of changes when you compare the revisions from the Subversion repository. And we needed to find a solution for that. And what we did was to use the project level support for options that Oxygen provides. And we put, you see, almost all the pages, option pages, have these global options, project options, radio button. And we put the options, the formatting options at project level, and all the people edit the website through the side project. And thus, we get only the relevant changes that each one makes on the website. And this is a problem that appears all the time when you have multiple people working on the same document. Okay, let's go back to authoring. Oxygen provides ready-to-use support, apart from this basic stuff, for a number of, for the most popular document frameworks like DocBook, DITA, DITA, TI, and for this we provide more than the basic support. And for instance, this is a DocBook 5 document. And if I switch to the author mode, you can see a large number of actions here, right? Oxygen detects that this is a darkbook document from its namespace and loads specific support for that. One such thing, if you notice here the tables, you can see that there are column specifications for tables, right? And Oxygen provides multiple cascading style sheets. You can set alternate cascading style sheets, and I can choose one that hides the column specifications. Then we provide actions to easily insert different types of emphasizes, different links, sections, paragraphs, images, to insert different types of lists. Okay, and I can just add more list items. So instead of going like positioning between the two list items and entering another list item, right? And then doing something like that, I can just click a button and have that immediately inserted. Then we have extensive support for tables that allows that handles both CALS tables and HTML tables, and allows to create whatever table structure you like through joins and splitting different cells. And we have work in progress here to handle support for column widths and to allow people to drag and drop on a table column, for instance, to specify its width. More than that, we have Oxygen provides support for linking and for included content. For instance, here I have a darkbook file document that uses X-include to add a few sections. And if I switch to the author mode, I get this representation. So the X-included content is rendered to present a consolidated view of the document. And I can just click on this icon to go to the X-included file, and I can edit there. Yes? Can that be done with entities as well, or just X-included? Yes. It works the same with the entities. Yes. And I have also, on the linking part, I sketch the presentation here, and I put some links using Xlink. You see, here, for instance, right? So if I click here, I get to another document. Right. But all this for darkbook, nothing from this support is hard-coded in Oxygen. Everything is just a configuration. And we provide this by default for darkbook. And anyone can create another configuration for another framework for basically your type of document. And if we look in the Oxygen options, you can see here that we have a document type association entry. And this lists a number of frameworks that we support. And for darkbook, you can see that we have a rule that detects that a document is darkbook, that specify, okay, it's this namespace, the darkbook file namespace, any local name for the root, any file name, any public ID, and we allow also to specify a Java class if you want to detect more, looking also at attributes values, for instance, to detect the type of document. And then you can see that we have the relax ng schema with embedded schematron rules that Oxygen uses automatically to edit darkbook 5 files. You can specify transformation scenarios that you want for darkbook. So when you have a darkbook document, you just can one click to get PDF or HTML. But all these are configurable by user for any other framework. XML catalogs, new document templates, and on the author tab, we have the style sheets that we used, the cascading style sheets that we used for rendering. And then all the actions that were available in that toolbar. And here, the support for defining these actions is very, very easy to use by any user. Because if we look at the insert paragraph action, that is edited visually in an interface. And the interesting part here is that it performs different operations in different contexts. If you are in a paragraph, you will insert a paragraph after that, right? And you can see here that it says it's just an expat expression that says ancestor or self is paragraph with the Dogu file namespace. Then perform this operation, insert fragment operation, where this locates the node, and after that inserts the new paragraph. And here you see that it's in the context of a title. And this is the default action. And for insert section, for instance, there are 12 different contexts that are defined. But the idea is that you can create these actions, because you can use this. We provide a lot of common operations already implemented. The source code is available for these operations, so can be easily extended to create other operations if these are not enough for what you are doing. Okay, guess what we have for the XML author, and I will show you while I'm still here, is for the next version, is track changes support. So if I enable track changes, then when I add content, okay, that is marked up here. If I delete something, that is deleted, and then I can see those markers, and in a further operation I can accept or reject changes. It will have multiple or support multiple users. So Oxygen has these two main parts: the authoring and XML development. Sorry? Yes. In the author mode, they are working in the visual author mode. And basically there are a set of highlights that show different parts of the document, highlight different parts of the document.
I'm just wondering how those changes were reflected in the XML.
After when we serialize the document, because this is in the author model, it's right. And when we serialize the document, we will convert them to processing instructions, because this will leave the document in the same form. It can be processed in the same way. Yes. Okay, so let me see if we have some more plans for the authoring part for the next versions. Apart from the change tracking, we plan to improve the dogbook support to offer a better support for creating O-links. Okay, I mentioned that we extended the CSS support for handling table widths. And another thing that I want to have is a way to, when you go between two paragraphs, sometimes you may need to go from one paragraph directly to another. Right now, you can tab to move more quickly to another element. But I was thinking of a way to easily, you press arrow down, you should get in sometimes from one paragraph to another if you are not interested to enter structure, if you are interested to enter markup only. Okay, let's move to the development part. This is actually what we do for 8 years, actually, from 2001. Oxygen offers support for the Mine XML development technologies. We support all the XML schema languages, including NVDL that you saw this morning, including Schematron, XML schema, RelaxNG, DTDs, Schematron rules embedded in XML schemas, XML schema, and RelaxNG. We have support for XSLT 1 and 2, and XQuery, and XML databases. I will just show you a couple of interesting points that are in general in the latest additions. And one is the new schema diagram that we added in version 10.1 that presents the schema and allows in the same time to edit the schema directly on the diagram without going to the code. And you can do that using in-place editing, drag and drop, a couple of side views. That can help editing. And contextual actions. For instance, if I included a schema, I can see the included content also in the outline view. You see it here. I can add a new element. If I want to rename it, I just click on that, and I can enter a new name. Then I can assign a type to that. Okay. And I can just add that to the person content model. Okay. make it optional. And then, so this is the general. So if the general feeling of editing, if I want to change the type, I can double click here or and choose another type, or I can use the attribute side view to change any of the properties. The outline will allow me to filter, for instance, if I want to see only person and address, I can just type there add and comma person, and I filter the outliner to see only those components. Another interesting action that we provide is to allow, for instance, to extract the type from an element, or extract a group from a model group. So if I extract a global type from here, you see I get a proposal, and the element has the for the element we set automatically the type value, and Oxygen extracts that as a separate type. And more than this, we added a new schema documentation support in Oxygen. We had also before support based on XS3P schema documentation generator that was enhanced with diagrams and a lot of stuff, but we had a lot of problems, and we decided to create a new documentation support starting from zero, basically. And what's interesting with this is that we convert the documentation in XML. And from that, we have a couple of style sheets that convert to DocBook, convert to HTML, and convert to PDF. And the interesting part is that the documentation can be part of your documentation. For instance, we use DocBook for our documentation. If the schema documentation is also DocBook, is not the schema documentation becomes part of your company documentation. Is not a separate research you link to. And there are a lot of options that allow you to set what will be in the documentation, and you can also have export those to files so you can reuse them, or use them from the command line if you want to integrate the documentation in a workflow. And you can see here how the documentation looks like. It has schema diagrams. You can click on them to see to navigate. And I also put here the PDF documentation. The outline will allow me to filter, for instance, if I want to see only person and address, I can just type there add and comma person, and I filter the outliner to see only those components. Another interesting action that we provide is to allow, for instance, to extract the type from an element, or extract a group from a model group. So if I extract a global type from here, you see I get a proposal, and the element has for the element we set automatically the type value, and Oxygen extracts that as a separate type. And more than this, we added a new schema documentation support in Oxygen. We had also before support based on XS3P schema documentation generator that was enhanced with diagrams and a lot of stuff, but we had a lot of problems and we decided to create a new documentation support starting from zero, basically. And what's interesting with this is that we convert the documentation in XML. And from that, we have a couple of style sheets that convert to DocBook, convert to HTML, and convert to PDF. And the interesting part is that the documentation can be part of your documentation. For instance, we use DocBook for our documentation. If the schema documentation is also DocBook, is not the schema documentation becomes part of your company documentation. It's not a separate research you link to. And there are a lot of options that allow you to set what will be in the documentation. And you can also have export those to files so you can reuse them or use them from the command line if you want to integrate the documentation in a workflow. And you can see here how the documentation looks like. It has schema diagrams. You can click on them to see to navigate. And I also put here the PDF documentation for Schematron 1.5. There were some challenges creating the PDF documentation because all the diagrams are very big and you need to put some work to have that in this form. Here is the documentation for XSLT 2.0. You can see here we generate also a type hierarchy. What elements can go inside that, and you can also use these options to specify what is visible or not in this view. And I also have the ISO Schematron documentation in DocBook, and I can open it in the author mode. If I want to see it in Oxygen. On the XSLT support, I'll just stay one more moment on the schema part because I played with enabled the visual author page for the schemas, and then I created a style sheet, a cascading style sheet to render the schema in a visual way. And I believe it ended up a really interesting presentation. So you see the schema that I showed you earlier looks something like this, right? So it's really like a quick documentation, and more than that, you can edit here. So you can just edit in the author mode. So it's really funny. What I did this for is that I provided also another style sheet that renders only the annotations and serializes the schema document. The idea was to be able to edit HTML annotations for your schema directly here, because you see if I enter HTML or whatever language that can be rendered, that you have a framework in Oxygen, can be used, and you see the annotation rendered directly here. Okay, for XSLT, I have here the dogbook style sheets, and what we'll have in the new version is this resource hierarchy view that shows what style sheets these include, and you can browse down to see, or you can show dependencies. Where is version is included from? And this takes a while because there are so many style sheets. And then you can see the path version it is used from. And we have this also for XML schema following include imports. We'll have this for relaxing, showing included schemas and so on. And next we plan to have also call hierarchies, type hierarchies, and all this kind of stuff. And what I wanted to show you for dogbook, for XSLT, is okay. This is the outline that shows not only components from the current document, but also from all the included and imported documents. And I can filter here, and I filtered on base dir parameter. And what I want to show is I want to rename this using one of the refactoring actions that Oxygen provides. And you can see that Oxygen detects all the places where that component is used, and it shows you what change it will do. And if you have a project this size, it will be really hard to perform such a rename manually, because you will need to find all those places. Okay. I have one more topic, if I may. It's XQuery and Exist support, and XML databases support, and I plan to show that with using Exist. Oxygen supports basically all the XML databases available and provides XQuery support and allows to browse the resources from the database. I started Exist, and I go to the database perspective. And you can see here I have a database. And if I open a dogbook document that is stored in the database, I can edit it as any other resource, so it's just like a file on the local system. I can save it, and it will be saved in the database. we have an X query here, and I can execute that. And we added support also for 10.2 for, when a database returns you a lot of results, we'll show only a part of them, and then lazily get the other ones if the user wants to, because otherwise if you get like 50 megabytes of result, it will blow up the application. And what we added recently is the support for database functions. And the Oxygen shows, for instance, what the signature of the functions, what functions are available in different namespaces for each database. Okay. So some of these features that I showed you are not yet available in 10.1, but will be available in about 1 month in 10.2. And I hope you you got an overview of what Oxygen does, and what we plan to do next will be to do more on this refactoring part. I plan to have this visual part, visual like we have for XML schema, also for NVDL, for instance, or for schematron. And we plan to increase the number of refactoring actions to have what an IDE like Eclipse offers for Java, also for XML. Thank you.